Back in 2016, Bethesda was following a policy that limited early review access to their games. Doom fell under said policy, which led to concerns regarding its quality, and whispers that Bethesda wasn't confident in it. It only took 5 minutes of playing it tops for people to realize that wasn't true, and that Doom categorically ruled. They didn't make that same mistake with Doom Eternal. I don't necessarily need a story in a Doom game, but Eternal's got one. The approach is a bit different and wholly old school. Less uncovering a mystery and more rip and tear. With the hellish motif front and center, as Earth has already been taken over by demons. There's plenty of lore to read and some cutscenes available if you want them, but Eternal is very much content keeping action at the forefront. The gist is that you need to hunt down priests that have besieged Earth to save it, and hunt you shall. Eternal's best beats involve the enhanced focus on the hero, the Doomslayer, as well as the Slayer mythos as a whole, and what makes him tick. His characterization of a badass that gets things done without being a stone-cold killer of men rules, as he never skirts the line of unlikability and radiates personality, even if most of his dialogue consists of grunts. Beyond a very abrupt ending, the reductive narrative serves Eternal well. Gameplay is also equally urgent. One of my favorite things about the new Doom reincarnation, Eternal included, is how id Software once again nails the sense of speed. You get a double jump immediately, as well as double dashing soon after, and it gets better from there. Eternal brings back the idea of wielding a limited-use chainsaw to recover ammo and ripping apart weakened enemies with glory kills for health, but adds in 2 other wrinkles. The Flame Belch, which is basically a flamethrower that burns enemies in exchange for armor shards, and a super punch of sorts that refreshes after glory kills. This leads to a rapid pace of self-sustaining economy of power-ups, where you periodically chainsaw, burn, or glory kill to keep your run going. If you saw, torch, and rip things apart correctly, you'll always have a stream of health, armor, and ammo respectively, without having to rely on pickups. It may sound confusing, but it's more natural and intense in practice, especially when you're juggling a room full of varied enemies on a tougher difficulty. It's still so refreshing to not have to manually reload. Those enemies, mind you, also have a more strategic, overarching design. They have more pronounced weak points that encourage you to surgically take out enemies in specific ways, like shooting the tail off a spider demon to thwart its long-range capabilities, or throwing a grenade into a cacto demon's mouth to instantly trigger a glory kill prompt. It feels gamey at first, but once you're overwhelmed in a giant arena full of varied foes, trying to figure out the best way to approach each and every fight, it feels more justified. The only hiccup is when you annoyingly have to hunt down that one last demon until a critical path door opens. During my tests, performance was great on PlayStation 4 Pro, consistently rolling along at 60 frames per second, with 10-second or less load times. I encountered a few moments of stuttering during cutscenes, but rarely during gameplay, and one stuck checkpoint that I needed to reload to trigger. That's pretty much it. Everything is communicated on the HUD, and accessibility options are available, including HUD alterations, even on consoles. When you add in more customization for the Slayer, like out there rune passive abilities, returning weapon mods, and stat increase and level ups, it gets even more engaging. Once again, maps feel acutely designed to provide a great deal of exploration while remaining pointed. Environments have a looser aesthetic, ripped free of the shackles of the mostly Mars/Hell State motifs of Doom 2016. We're galaxy hopping now. Individual maps beg to be explored with the fast travel mechanic, which does sound stupid in a Doom game at first. Essentially, it lets players jump to different points of the map right before its finale. In other words, it's a way to grab stuff you missed before you leave and have to restart the entire level over. Despite the hardcore looking veneer, things are loosened up a bit in general. You can swap difficulty settings at any time without penalty, with the exception of the permadeath settings, which are essentially different modes. Cheat codes are also available and do not disable progression. The game gets weird with select moments where you possess a drone of a demon and wreak havoc, and the campaign is still mission-based, as it traditionally has been since the start. A Fortress of Doom hub, which I call the Doom Room, allows for a bit of respite, and a way to store your collectibles between missions, like a fun interactive next mission menu. It's kind of like Mortal Kombat's Crypt, but without the microtransaction baggage. You can of course go back to any completed missions for a 100% clear, and periodic master levels are available, which are remixed, tougher stages that give hardcore players a reason to run through them a third time. For full disclosure, we didn't have access to the multiplayer-centric battle mode for this review outside of the brief tutorials, so as such, this review only covers the single-player campaign. Doom Eternal keeps the strong foundation built back in 2016 intact, while adding some of its own panache in the process. I think we can officially declare that the last iteration wasn't just a lone fluke, and that Doom is back in the shooter spotlight, where it belongs. But for all your video game news, reviews, original features, and more, be sure to head on over to Destructoid.com.